Donald Trump, a name that has dominated headlines, politics, and conversations for years. But now, many experts and insiders are saying his political future is on the brink of collapse. Today, we're diving deep into the top 10 reasons Trump is doomed to fail, and the undeniable signs pointing to his imminent downfall. Whether you support him or not, this is a story you need to hear. The setup. From billionaire businessman to the 45th president of the United States, Trump's rise was meteoric. Few figures in American politics have ever commanded the spotlight as forcefully. Yet history has shown that what goes up often comes down. In Trump's case, the descent may be even steeper because his entire image rests on dominance and strength. As cracks begin to show in that image, so does the foundation of his political future. We are no longer talking about speculation or partisan wishful thinking. Analysts, strategists, and even former allies point to an undeniable trend. Trump's grip on power is loosening. His ability to mobilize massive crowds, set the news cycle, and intimidate rivals is no longer as effective as it once was. The reasons for this are not limited to a single factor. Instead, it's a combination of legal, financial, demographic, and political challenges piling up all at once. To understand why so many believe Trump is doomed to fail, we need to break down the forces working against him. Here are the top 10 reasons that his downfall seems not only likely, but inevitable. 1. Legal troubles. Mounting Donald Trump's legal entanglements have become a defining feature of his post-presidency life. Far from being isolated incidents, these troubles now span multiple states, jurisdictions, and even international interests. The sheer volume of cases is unprecedented for a former president. Ongoing investigations into alleged election interference, classified documents, financial fraud, and civil lawsuits threaten to consume both his time and resources. Courtrooms that once seemed far removed from political theater are now front and center, shaping headlines almost daily. For Trump, the danger isn't just potential convictions. Legal experts point out that the constant barrage of hearings, depositions, and trials weakens his political image. Even supporters who once admired his fighter persona are beginning to question whether these cases represent strength or simply mounting vulnerability. Opponents use the steady drumbeat of lawsuits to argue he is unfit for office, while donors quietly wonder if their money is being used for political campaigns or endless legal fees. The legal strain extends beyond optics. Every subpoena, every judge's ruling, and every new charge adds to a narrative of decline. Even if Trump avoids the most severe penalties, the process itself is draining. As strategists often say, politics is about momentum. And for Trump, legal troubles are the single biggest weight slowing him down. In this environment, even his most loyal allies find it difficult to defend him without being pulled into the controversy themselves. 2. Fractured Republican Party. Trump once held the Republican Party in an iron grip, with candidates bending over backwards to secure his endorsement. But today, that unity is fracturing. Many within the GOP view him as more of a liability than an asset, especially after midterm results where Trump-backed candidates underperformed. Governors, senators, and rising figures are increasingly distancing themselves from his brand of politics. Behind closed doors, party strategists express concern that Trump's constant controversies make it harder to appeal to moderates and swing voters. Publicly, you see subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, rejections of his leadership. Some Republican leaders are openly stating that the party must move forward without clinging to the past. These statements might seem mild, but in the highly polarized world of GOP politics, they signal a seismic shift. The result is a fractured coalition. Traditional conservatives, younger Republicans, and pragmatic leaders are beginning to form alliances outside of Trump's orbit. In states once considered his strongholds, alternative voices are gaining traction. While Trump still commands a loyal base, the cracks within the party limit his ability to unify Republicans for a national campaign. 3. Declining public approval. Polls are not everything, but they are powerful indicators of momentum, and Trump's numbers are slipping. For years, he relied on strong approval among his base to offset unfavorable national ratings. But recent surveys show erosion in crucial demographics. Suburban voters, independents, and even some working-class groups that once formed the backbone of his coalition. The decline is particularly significant in battleground states. Suburban women, younger independents, and educated professionals are moving away, citing exhaustion with Trump's controversies. In the world of electoral math, even small shifts in these groups can make the difference between victory and defeat. Campaign strategists note that while Trump still polls competitively among Republicans, his numbers in the general electorate are trending downward. Another challenge is Trump fatigue. After years of dominating headlines, many Americans express simply wanting to move on. This sentiment is difficult to combat because it isn't tied to specific policies or events. It's about emotion. 4. The rise of new political figures. Every political movement eventually gives way to new leaders, and Trump is no exception. Across the Republican Party and beyond, fresh faces are emerging with broader appeal and fewer controversies. Figures like Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and other governors or senators are positioning themselves as alternatives, offering a blend of conservative policies without the constant chaos that follows Trump. These rising stars don't just represent competition, they embody generational change. Younger voters often gravitate toward leaders closer to their age, and many within the GOP see new blood as essential to staying competitive in future elections. Unlike Trump, these figures can enter debates and media cycles without being burdened by years of scandals, investigations, and polarizing baggage. Media attention has also shifted. Outlets that once covered Trump's every tweet are now spotlighting these up-and-coming leaders. This creates a feedback loop. The more coverage new figures receive, the more legitimacy they gain. Meanwhile, Trump struggles to dominate headlines in the way he once did, especially with his social media reach restricted. 5. Financial strain. Despite his reputation as a billionaire, Trump's financial situation is far more precarious than it appears. Court filings, leaked documents, and investigative reports reveal mounting debts, declining real estate values, and increasing pressure from fines and legal penalties. These financial challenges don't just threaten his personal fortune, they jeopardize his political future. Campaigns are expensive. Running for office in the United States requires vast sums of money. And while Trump has always relied on a mix of personal wealth and grassroots fundraising, both streams are under pressure. Donors worry that contributions may be redirected to cover legal expenses rather than campaign activities. Meanwhile, his businesses, once powerful symbols of success, are struggling in an economy where branding and reputation are everything. Financial troubles also weaken the aura of invincibility. Trump carefully crafted an image of limitless wealth and power, but reports of struggling properties, unpaid loans, or steep fines chip away at that narrative. Political opponents use these stories to question his credibility as a businessman, while supporters quietly worry about his ability to mount a sustainable campaign. 6. Social media crackdown. Trump's rise to political power was inseparable from his mastery of social media. Twitter, in particular, served as his megaphone, allowing him to bypass traditional media and speak directly to millions. But with major platforms banning or restricting his accounts, that lifeline has been cut. The consequences go beyond communication. They strike at the very heart of his influence. Without direct access to these platforms, Trump struggles to set the agenda in real time. Once, a single late-night tweet could dominate the news cycle. Now, his statements are filtered through press releases, smaller platforms, or third-party coverage. This delay reduces their impact and limits their reach. While Trump has attempted to create alternatives, such as Truth Social, these platforms lack the scale and influence of Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. The echo chambers they create may keep his base engaged, but they fail to expand his audience. Younger voters, in particular, are less likely to join niche platforms, leaving Trump disconnected from emerging demographics. 7. Investigations into January 6th and Capitol events. The events of January 6th remain one of the darkest chapters in modern American history. For Trump, the political fallout continues to reverberate. Investigations into his role in the Capitol attack, including questions about incitement, coordination, and responsibility, remain a constant threat. Even without criminal charges, the ongoing scrutiny damages his political credibility. Public hearings have painted a detailed picture of the chaos, with testimony from aides, security officials, and lawmakers highlighting troubling narratives about Trump's actions and inactions. Each revelation adds weight to the argument that he failed to uphold the duties of the presidency. For many voters, particularly independents, this is disqualifying. Beyond politics, the investigations carry potential legal risks. Subpoenas, depositions, and possible indictments create uncertainty that hangs over his future. Legal experts argue that even if Trump avoids the harshest outcomes, the process itself erodes trust. 8. Loss of key allies. Political power is never exercised alone, and Trump's influence has long depended on a loyal inner circle. Advisors, strategists, and confidants once formed a tight network that amplified his message, managed crises, and kept campaigns on track. Today, that network is fractured. Many of Trump's closest allies have either stepped away or turned against him. Some cite exhaustion, others legal risks, and still others personal disagreements. Former insiders, from high-level cabinet members to campaign strategists, have publicly criticized his leadership. Their departures don't just weaken his inner circle, they also lend credibility to his critics. After all, when those who once defended him start speaking out, it raises questions for voters still on the fence. This loss of allies also affects organization. Running a campaign requires coordination, expertise, and trust. Without seasoned professionals, Trump risks repeating past mistakes or failing to adapt to new challenges. 9. Changing voter demographics. The American electorate is changing, and not in Trump's favor. Younger generations, minorities, and women now make up a growing share of the voting population. These groups tend to be skeptical of Trump's policies and rhetoric, creating long-term challenges for his political future. Data shows that millennials and Gen Z, who prioritize issues like climate change, social justice, and inclusivity, are far less receptive to Trump's message. Minority communities, already wary of his immigration policies and divisive rhetoric, continue to lean heavily against him. Meanwhile, women, particularly suburban and educated women, have become one of the most vocal blocs opposing his return to power. 10. Media backlash and investigative journalism. Trump's relationship with the media has always been adversarial, but it also fueled his rise. He thrived on constant coverage, dominating headlines with controversy after controversy. Yet the same dynamic now works against him. Investigative journalists continue to expose financial irregularities, hidden dealings, and damaging stories. Each revelation chips away at his image and fuels opposition narratives. Major outlets dedicate significant resources to tracking his every move, while independent journalists publish deep dives into his business and political dealings. For Trump, this creates a constant stream of negative publicity that even loyal supporters cannot fully ignore. Media scrutiny ensures that his past, from tax records to business bankruptcies, remains in the spotlight. Moreover, public trust in investigative reporting has grown in key demographics, making these revelations harder to dismiss as fake news. When reports are backed by documents, testimonies, and court filings, they carry weight beyond partisan rhetoric. Signs of imminent downfall. So, how do we know Trump's downfall is right around the corner? The warning signs are impossible to ignore. Endorsements are slipping away. Prominent figures who once stood firmly by his side are now publicly withdrawing their support. Rally attendance, once the symbol of his populist strength, shows noticeable declines, with smaller crowds and less energy. Fundraising numbers reveal a worrying trend, with donations falling short of expectations. Legal subpoenas and aggressive actions from prosecutors add urgency, signaling that the walls are closing in. Even Trump's own speeches and statements hint at desperation, suggesting he knows the path forward is narrowing. Together, these signs point not to resilience, but to an imminent collapse of influence. What's next? Trump's future is uncertain, but the evidence points to a shrinking path. Will he attempt yet another comeback, doubling down on rallies and rhetoric? Could he pivot to a role outside of politics, focusing instead on media ventures or family businesses? Or is this simply the beginning of the end for one of the most polarizing figures in modern history? For now, the only certainty is change. The political stage is shifting, demographics are evolving, and the appetite for chaos may be waning. Whether Trump adapts or fades will determine how his story is remembered. What do you think? Is Trump really doomed to fail, or could he still pull off a surprise comeback? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.